On today's TCE Trim, McNeese State Basketball releases their schedule, and we preview their team for the 24-25 season. Edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. Welcome, everybody, into the college basketball experience. McNeese State Cowboys, TCE Trim. You know the season's getting upon us because 7 weeks from today, we will have opening night. We'll have McNeese State at South Dakota State in the Pentagon. The season can't get here soon enough, November the 4th. But first off, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Also known as Mac Tonight over here at the College Basketball Experience. And hey, Sicko season. So we got to bring in this guy because he is the host of the College Baseball Experience, co-host of the College Basketball Experience. He is also the window banging, drywall hanging, LeBaron driving, Noah Bieniek, a.k.a. Noah B77. What's up, man?
What's going on, Mac? Unique TCE trim for us today. I absolutely loved all of the non-conference schedules that were getting released today, but there was one that was all over the timeline. Everybody had some thoughts on this thing. When I checked, there was over 20,000 impressions on a little Southland basketball program's Twitter post today. So you knew that we kind of had to do this. Ironically, perfectly timed with our Southland Conference preview. This was planned a week ago that we were doing the Southland today. Just so happens that McNeese dropped their schedule today, and we get to dissect it on this show for TCE Trims. We're going to basically do like a throwback team preview like we did 2 years ago for every high major program. The first true year where Mac and I were part of the team of the College Basketball Experience with Colby here. We have the clip. So we encourage you to check out all the conference previews, but in each conference preview, we do a mini team preview. We kind of talk about the roster. We don't do as much schedule talk. Today, we're going to dive into the schedule. We're going to try to predict the range of outcomes for this McNeese State Cowboys team this season. Mac, how excited are you for this? Do you like this kind of idea? And what are your thoughts around this entire McNeese State program entering the year?
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, I love what Will Wade's doing down there. 30-4, year number one, get back to the dance. They got it going on down there in Louisiana. They're running this like a high major program. They have the resources, they have the backing, they have the funding, they have a high major coach. I mean, Will Wade has won at LSU, he's won at VCU, he's won at Chattanooga, and you're going to see it with the preview we just did on the Southland side of things. That there's a scenario, man. I don't want to say the U word, undefeated, but I mean they have a schedule where if they can get by a couple bye games, you can start talking about that. But they do challenge themselves. I mean, they do have a couple SEC road games, especially at Alabama. That'll be a hell of a test. So, but yeah, I mean, I love what they've done down there. It's brought recognition down to Lake Charles, and the only people it sucks for is, I guess, the rest of the Southland, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. What we're basically going to do is We're going to play the exact same clip that we did during the Southland preview, talking about the McNeese State team. When we come back, we're going to dive into the schedule. Like I said, this has been pretty much the exact formula of these old school team previews. And what you're about to see and hear on the podcast platform side is what we do for every single conference. All 31, we're previewing all 31, and each team gets its own dedicated section where we're trying to dissect and prognosticate for how their season's going to go. So sit tight, enjoy the next 10-minute clip. But first, before we get to that, the war against corporate gambling is heating up, and SGPN needs you to be a part of it. If you could take just a couple of seconds of your time, go leave a like, rating, review, subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it be YouTube or any podcast platform. Do us a favor, leave us a review or a 5-star rating, like, review, subscribe to the college basketball experience, college football experience, college baseball experience, the sports gambling podcast, anything in the podcast network, SGPN. Most importantly, tell a friend, because the word of mouth is the heartbeat of SGPN. And Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu. They now have first touchdown projections, and there are a ton of ways to win with NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, and more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries. You can now use these specials and profit boosts on all flexed entries. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN, the one you see at the top left portion of your screen here on YouTube, TCE SGPN. Now, let's get to the McNeese State roster portion of the team preview. The team here that we're going to talk about is the McNeese State Cowboys.
Are they good?
This is... I don't know. Let's find out, Mac. Are they going to be able to repeat? They went 30-4 last season overall, 17-1 in the Southland, finishing first, sweeping the league. Let's talk portal. Actually, not even portal. CJ Felder, Shahada Wells, and Tavion Collum, they're all gone. I believe they graduated. Shahada Wells, 32.5 minutes per game, 17.8 points, player of the year in the conference, 4.5 boards, 4.7 assists, 3 steals per game. Just an all-around baller, and he shot it well, too. And transferring out is Nasir Mann. He played 19 minutes a game last season, 7.5 points, 6 boards. Cameron Jones, Trey English, DeAndre Thomas, Wesley Fields, they're all gone. But, Mac, I think they won the transfer portal. I think this team, they lose their best player from a season ago, but I think they got better. Let's start off with Quadir Copeland, a junior out of transferring in from Syracuse, played 22.5 minutes per game last season, 9.5 points, 4.5 boards, almost 3 assists per game, 1.5 steals. Like, this was a contributor at a high major level. And now he's coming in to the 29th ranked conference, according to Ken Pom last season. This kid's going to ball out. Sincere Parker, coming in from St. Louis, where he averaged almost 16 points per game, 4.3 boards. He shot at 42.5% from beyond the arc, 49.2% from the field. He's a senior, played over 20.5 minutes per game last season. Okay, let's go to the front court. Joe Charles, which he was on the team last year, 33.5 minutes per game, 11.5 points per game, 9.5 boards, 1.8 steals, 1.1 blocks a game. He shot it well. Javon Garcia, 27 minutes a game, 11.2 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, 1.7 assists, 44.4% from deep. And we haven't even talked about their best player yet, Christian Shoemate, who's on the thumbnail for the conference. 12.1 points per game, 9.5 boards, 56.1% from the field, entering his senior season after playing over 29 minutes per game last season. This team's going to be really freaking good. How about that Brandon Murray kid, who's been all over the place? He's on this team.
Yeah.
He transfers in from Ole Miss after playing almost 20 minutes per game last season, 35.7% from three. Alan Breed from Providence. He's struggled with injury, but he's a redshirt senior. You can't complain about the experience there after playing at a high major level. Bryant Celebang from Arizona State. Jerome Brewer Jr., the leading scorer of Texas A&M Commerce, a conference foe. Play the gunshots, Colby. Oh, and then Lamont Evans IV also coming in from St. Louis. This team murdered the transfer portal compared to other Southland Conference teams. They lost their best player and they added 4 high major players. Mac, how many losses does this team have at the conclusion of Southland Conference play?
Well, I was looking. They got Bama, Mississippi State in the non-con. I'm looking forward to those challenges. They play South Dakota State in the opener. Talked to Coach Henderson about that matchup when we had him on. Can't wait. But this is a high major program. From an NIL resources standpoint, they're running a high major program down there at McNeese. It's pretty evident with the guys that they brought in. They're paying Will Wade like a high major coach. He is a high major coach. He was ahead of the times. This is a machine. They're going to win 30 again. And the question is, can they get to a spot where they can afford a conference tournament crazy upset? We see it every year where there's one crazy game. Could they get to a point where they could get in that large and maybe the Southland gets 2 teams because of how good McNeese is? That's the question. And that's why that Bama game and Mississippi State games are so pivotal. They're at Louisiana. If you're all these Southland teams, man, you're rooting for McNeese because maybe the Southland could be a 2-bid league like when I was in the OVC with Murray State and Belmont.
Yeah, 100%. That is definitely the league's hope with this team in it.
They're loaded, man. They can play fast. They can play slow. They can shoot it. They're going to pound you on the glass. They can defend. They got everything for this league.
They were miles better offensively and defensively in this conference a season ago. They all rebounded well and up and down the entire roster. You've got a bunch of, for lack of better imagery, you have a bunch of Lamborghinis in a garage that want to win basketball games. And they're, running all over the place and committed to winning. Like, a lot of these guys have adapted roles that, honestly, they'd be a leading scorer anywhere else in this conference. And they're going to go out and they're going to play. Last year we saw it. There were a lot of mouths to feed on last year's team. And they operated like a well-oiled machine, like you said. A lot of mouths to feed on this year's team. There are new players coming in. That's the only question for me is how that operates in the clubhouse, in the locker room.
Absolutely no. And that was I'm glad you hit on that. That was going to be my one concern with them. But they have Will Wade dealing with these egos. He's coached at LSU. He's coached at VCU. He's wanted those programs. Yeah. Obviously, we know why he was out of the business. Like he's perfect for this new college basketball, and I think he's the perfect guy to navigate the different personalities that they have. Kind of I talked about like the last chance you, where you get guys that are coming in for their 5th, 6th year. That want to play their ass off, go get paid at the next level. This is a great spot. And little show promotion. We might be having somebody on the show that knows a little bit about the McNeese State Cowboys. So make sure you got your notifications turned on. Guns up. Let's go Cowboys.
There's a series on YouTube. I think it's called like Summer School Coaches Tour. Yeah,
well, it's not a preseason coaches tour because it's September 16th. But yeah, somebody that knows a little McNeese Cowboys might be coming on.
Yeah. All right. That was our team preview portion of the Southland Conference basketball preview. Before we try to dissect the schedule and predict how their season's going to go, let me tell you about BetUS, because They've been around for more than 40 years, and you can bet anywhere. BetUS is available in tons of locations, including internationally. They just launched an all-new live betting experience. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning-fast payouts when you want to cash out. So use our link to sign up. Get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Rhythm AI had a great NFL Week 2, 22.5% return on investment on NFL spread bets and 44.3% ROI on NFL moneyline bets. You can build your own model or copy one of the top performing ones from the leaderboard, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop with also a myriad of stats, research, trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Alrighty, Mac, we're back here on the college basketball experience doing basically a throwback team preview. We're talking McNeese State Cowboys basketball. I've pulled up McNeese State's athletic website for the official schedule. I'm not using Torvik. Ken Palm's not out there, but I'm not letting any outside sources screw up this schedule. It's nice and neat and official on the website. This is what we're going to use as we go through. First off, before we get into this banger of a first game, any thoughts in general, just maybe on the team that was left out that you want to hit on, or before we preview the entire schedule here?
No. I mean, I think it's a good, challenging non-con schedule. Looking forward to, of course, the South Dakota State opener. That's 7 weeks from today, and then they test themselves with some bye games, and then Virgin Islands is going to be fun as well. And then they got a hard road game at the end of their non-con as well at a Sun Belt team that we'll talk about here.
Cool. I've got one hard-hitting question at the end of this, I think, that I can't wait to get your opinion on. But November 4th, opening day of college basketball season in 2024-25. McNeese State hits the road to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the Pentagon, a.k.a. the Field of 68 season opener against the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Mac, you've had one coach on the summer school coaches tour. You're about to have the other coach on the coaches tour. You can't play favorites in this game. Where are you going in this one? How do you think this is going to go? This one's going to be a fun one. This is going to be on probably one of your 16 little screens for college basketball opening night, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt. No, this one's on YouTube. I'm seeing right now. This one might be the biggest.
Yeah, I think it's Field of 68's YouTube.
Yeah, they're getting the ratings on this one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take the Cowboys. But this could be a tight game. I know South Dakota State loses a lot, but once upon a time, South Dakota State was losing a lot, and they played West Virginia, who was a top 15 team, and they gave us everything we could handle. And we had McBride, Sheboy, and they had all these guys that were young. And a guy named Baylor Shireman came out of nowhere. And next thing you know, he's in the NBA. So South Dakota State, my point, is a well-oiled machine. They're not going to be a pushover, especially at the Pentagon where they take pride in playing. I think McNeese is at a different level from a roster standpoint. It's going to be a hell of a game, though. I'll take the Cowboys to get by, though.
Yeah, I'm going to take McNeese State, too. I think there's a potential for this one to get ugly. It just depends on how well the McNeese State machine is oiled and operating. South Dakota State loses all 5 of their starters from last season. Their one returning player that played over 25 minutes a game last season was Kalen Gary, and he's a sophomore. They do bring in 2 power conference transfers, but this team is looking for an identity. McNeese State up and down the roster is like 11 deep. All they have to do is figure out their rotation, and then they're good to go, I think. So yeah, I have McNeese State in this game. Then the Pokes play the College of Biblical Studies. Mac,
W.
I mean, did you have any passages that were your favorite? Any verses that you live by? Did you go to catechism class back in the day? Anything like that? Did you play basketball for your
No.
church?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I played a little church league basketball. But yeah, the biblical studies. Good luck to you guys here.
I was. Should I say it? I don't know. I wasn't good enough for the basketball team. Didn't make the church league basketball team, but I was better baseball wise. Like playing church league baseball, I would have been holding myself back at that age level, so I didn't, or else that would have been a core memory of mine. But I was traveling the Great Lakes. McNeese is about to travel to Alabama, Tuscaloosa, a Final Four team from a season ago, November 11th. Exactly 1 week from that South Dakota State game. Alabama returns a bunch of production from the Final Four team. I think they only lose 2 starters, if my memory is correct. Ryland Griffin being one. McNeese State is going to have to get rolling early. This is probably not the most ideal spot for the Alabama challenge on your schedule.
Yeah, this is a tough spot with Alabama bringing back all that they're going to bring back. You mentioned it, Sears coming back. They bring over the rim protector of Murray. I'm looking right now though, and they got Purdue on deck. I mean, Alabama's got Purdue on deck, so maybe a little bit of a look ahead.
Purdue's not the Purdue of last year, though. They're going to take us.
Well, they go Purdue, Illinois, Houston, and Rutgers right after this. But I'll still take Alabama to get it done at home in Tuscaloosa. But I mean, Wade's won in that building before at LSU, so it would not shock me. We get to that under 4 timeout and we got like a tie game, and it's coming right down the wire because McNeese will be playing free because they got nothing to lose.
Yeah, apologies. They lose 2 starters, Alabama does. They bring back Sears, Nelson, and Wrightsell. And the replacements in the starting 5, probably going to be Cliff Amore, like you said, and then Chris Youngblood coming in from South Florida. How about that for a career trajectory? Kennesaw State to South Florida to Alabama. That's pretty good. Yeah. So that Alabama game is going to be tough. I'm going to predict a loss. I think that just Alabama returns quite a bit. They'll be crisp. McNeese State, like I said, the thing I'm nervous about is the rotations. That's it. You just got to figure out your roles. With a team like this, with so many mouths to feed, that's the only issue that they have. And that's like a first 2 weeks thing, and then it's all figured out. You have your star, you have your the couple of roles that you're going to need, and then you're ready to go. But I think it's a little early for that. Then McNeese State is going to the U.S. Virgin Islands for the Paradise Jam. This is an 18 tournament. Their first round game is against Illinois State. They would then play either Longwood or UAB. And then the final game would be against one of the 4 teams, Louisiana Liberty, George Washington, or what I think would probably be Kansas State. So first game here against Illinois State, the Redbirds do have 6 seniors coming back that all played meaningful minutes from a season ago, but they lose 3 starters. This is a game that I have McNeese State winning. How about you?
Yeah, I have them winning. This is a tricky game, though. I think the Redbirds are going to be better than people realize in the Valley.
Me too. The next one is Longwood UAB.
UAB.
I think UAB wins that game against Longwood, and going up against McNeese State sure is going to be interesting. This is a big game for the Pokes. Like, this is one of the ones where beware, don't sleep on the Blazers here, because they do bring back a bunch of production, and they bring in a transfer guard and Tyron Moore from Georgia Southern, who averaged 17 points per game last season. The guards in the Andy Kennedy model, they go berserk. So
this is gonna be
that's
is gonna
dangerous.
be an entertaining game, man.
Yeah, the one spot that they needed was like a point guard bucket getter, and UAB filled that, and they did it pretty well. Like, that one's going to be fun because they bring back Landeborg, Yaxel Landeborg from last year's team, who had a breakout in it was January, February, March. Like, that is a tough one. I'm going to go McNeese State, but it's a sleepy one. Like, you win the first one, you're feeling confident, and Kansas State wins, then you're looking ahead to Kansas State. You might want to build that resume. Don't look ahead to the Wildcats.
Well, I mean, both these programs are 12 seeds last year in the NCAA tournament. UAB lost to San Diego State. McNeese lost to Gonzaga. So very similar talent. I mean, I think they're right on par with each other. I think UAB is loaded. Andy Kennedy better when expectations are everybody's sleeping on him a little bit.
I don't think they'll be sleeping on him this year.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be sleeping on him. That's why I think I'm going to take McNeese. I think McNeese barely gets by. I think it's a heck of a game, though. I mean, if UAB wins, it wouldn't shock me at all. I think this is a one-possession game, comes right down the wire.
I actually think this is the tougher game than my projected Kansas State in the final. I think Kansas State. I think Kansas State's going to be a total enigma this season. You got Doug McDaniel at the point, Coleman Hawkins playing wherever. He doesn't really have like a role. He'll play the big. He can handle the ball if you need him to. But that team is like a wait and see for me. But I think McNeese would get up for that, and I think they would handle Kansas State pretty well in that final. To be honest, I think the biggest game here, like, Kansas State, in my opinion, got a fairly good draw. Liberty has been a great program recently, but I think McNeese State got the more dangerous draw. And if they get to the final, I see them winning it.
I'm going to say they're going to lose in the final to K-State. I'm going to have them flip, like either they beat or they lose to UAB or they lose to Kansas State. I think they split those two. So I got them with 2 losses coming out. To put in perspective, they did beat UAB at UAB last year, 81-60. So part of me wants to say that UAB gets the revenge, and then McNeese wins the final against in the third place game. Either way, I got them 2-1 coming out of the Paradise Islands.
I feel much more confident about them beating K-State than UAB. It's game 5 or game 6 for Kansas State, and it's an entirely new team. There's Jerome Tang, like, hit the transfer portal hard team. I mean, they're bringing in 8 transfers that are all projected to, like, play. And I'm not buying it. So, not buying it this year until I see it. That's exactly how I handled them year 1. Year 2, I got burned because then I trusted Tang, and it was a shit show.
So you mean they're going to start 10-0 now?
Yeah, this year I'm sitting. They're what, 13-0 in overtime, but this year I'm sitting back, and I need to see it. So I'm on McNeese State. I think the trap game is UAB, not even really a trap, but if they look ahead to Kansas State, they could definitely get caught by the UAB Blazers. But I got them going 3-0 in the Paradise Jam. We move ahead, and we're going to group up the next 4. I mean, Santa Clara, then they got Latorno. It looks like a hornet here for their logo. Then Mississippi State, then Champion Christian. Let's group these by 2. Santa Clara first. Do you have them stumbling against Santa Clara after Paradise Jam? Usually that's like, hey, sometimes you're a little sleepy after the MTE, out of country.
No, I like Herb Sendick, but I think that McNeese, and they've really, and that's the other thing about McNeese now with Will Wade there. They've built a heck of a home court advantage on there. They pack it in there, so I think McNeese puts it on them.
So we have them winning against Santa Clara, winning against Latorno. The next one is Mississippi State. but they're not at Mississippi State. This one's being played in Tupelo, Mississippi. Mac, what are your thoughts on entering this game after a little bit of a cupcake against Latorno? What are your thoughts?
I like McNeese here. I think McNeese pulls the upset. Mississippi State, yes, they've been good under Jans, but they have dropped one of these games every single year to a mid-major. And I mean, McNeese isn't really a mid-major from a talent standpoint, but you mentioned
or
it.
Operation. They're acting like a high major.
It's
like
not even in Starkville either. So this is a great spot to catch him in Tupelo, like you said. Give me the Cowboys here to win a bye. I don't even know if this is a bye. I would assume it's a bye game, but yeah, it's I like the Cowboys here.
I don't know what Mississippi State is going to be like this season. They're really relying on Josh Hubbard. He came on at the end of last season, but they're expecting him to be the leading scorer, like primary scorer. They bring in Riley Kugel from Florida, who he kind of wore out my welcome last season as a semi-Gator fan. And I'm just not seeing it from this Mississippi State squad on the offensive side that they're going to deliver defensively. It's just a matter of fact, like, are they going to be able to slow this thing down, keep it in the 60s? And I think Mississippi State's going to have to play that scrappy game to keep within McNeese State. So I got the Pokes winning this one too. I think the neutral site is tremendous for them, not going into that stark Vegas atmosphere. Okay, let's group. So Louisiana Lafayette's the last non-conference game at Louisiana Lafayette. This one could definitely be the one that a lot of people are overlooking here. Are you predicting an upset? They do get the nice cupcake of Champion Christian in between Mississippi State and Lafayette, but can the Ragin' Cajuns win a game that most likely that's probably going to be a pretty close spread? I'm going to pull it up on Torvik real quick.
It's 3.
Oh,
yeah. It's 3. Like this is an extremely hard game. And if you know the history of Will Wade and Bob Marlin, they got into it in the NIT handshake line when Will Wade was at LSU and Marlin was at Louisiana about who runs Louisiana. LSU beat them. Yeah, they beat them in that game. And they kind of got into a little dust up in the not handshake line. I don't think there was a handshake line, but this one's going to have some serious juice to it. I'm going to take McNeese to get it done. I think Will Wade's going to have him ready to go, juiced up, ready to beat Marlin again. But man, this is one you want to circle here late December because I like Lafayette, man. I think, are they still Lafayette or are they just Louisiana?
They're like UCF. They don't like being called Lafayette.
Okay, yeah. Well, either way, the Raging Cajuns.
And they have a good just like UCF?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like being called the Golden Knights. They don't like being called Louisiana Lafayette. So, yeah.
In the Cajun Dome, they show up there. So like that environment in the state of Louisiana is going to have some juice to it that day.
For the record, Joe Charles was a graduate transfer. So he couldn't return to Louisiana. He transferred to McNeese State. He's the starting big man for the Pokes.
It's going to have a lot of juice to it.
This one's got a lot of pack to the punch. The thing about Louisiana, to me at least, is they bring back a lot, or good. Not necessarily bring back. They have a ton of experience. They bring in 4 seniors from the transfer portal. But I've got McNeese taking this one too. I have McNeese with 1 loss in the non-conference. How about you? And it's to Alabama at Alabama. That's not a bad loss.
Alabama and then 1 in Paradise. So I had him at 2. And one other thing, I mean, go look at Marlin. Marlin's almost won 500 career games. So it's a veteran coach. I was tempted to take Louisiana, but I think the Cowboys win an overtime thriller.
In the Cajun Dome. here's the hard-hitting question. Was this a tough enough non-conference schedule to buy them the sense of security that if they drop one game, two games, if they don't win the conference tournament, that they can get in as an at-large with one or two non-conference losses? Like, we don't have them winning Alabama. I have them going 3-0 in Paradise. You have them going 2-1. If they drop one or two in the regular season, or if they go perfect and they don't win the tournament, are they an at-large team in your eyes?
I think they got to keep it 2 or less, because they probably will drop one game in league play somewhere. It's hard to run the entire table. They're going to have to go to Stephen F. Austin at the end of the year. You're going to have to go to Corpus Christi.
Let me pick.
They lost at CeeLo last year.
So we usually picked the toughest stretch of games during these team previews for the conference slate. Here's it for me. January 25th, you're at Rio Grande. Yep. At January 27th, you're at Corpus Christi. February 1st, you're at Nicholls State. Those three I have all in the top 6 of this conference. You're going to Mexico, game 1. You're going to Corpus Christi, which is a nice area. And then Nicholls State has been a spoiler in this conference before. That's where I think if they lose one game, it's in there.
Absolutely. They probably will. I mean, it's college basketball. Remember how they beat Corpus Christi last year on that crazy shit show game where they won on like the tip in and they lost at CeeLo as well? The target, they have a huge target on their back. So it's
100%.
It's hard to run the table. Yes, they have by far the best roster. But it's going to be hard to run the gauntlet 18-0, and then you do it again in conference play or conference tournament. So they probably will drop one just because that's usually what happens. I'm looking back. Buffalo with Nate Oates, they were like a 6 seed out of the MAC the 1 year. They lost one game, and it was at Marquette. The team I'm referring to, and I'm pulling it up, it's Murray State. Murray State was in the year with John Moran and them. They lost 3. They lost at Middle Tennessee. They lost – I'm sorry. Let me go to the next year. They lost – yeah, here we go. They lost at Alabama, and they lost at Auburn. Those were their 2 games. So, yeah, I think 2 losses, and then they lost to Belmont in league play and then got them back in the tournament. They were 28-4. I think McNeese needs to stay under 3 or less losses to get in at large.
Okay.
But, I mean, that would also mean they have a win over Mississippi State and then either UAB or K-State. So those are quality wins.
100%. I think the non-conference is going to be close.
Yeah.
If it's just non-conference by itself, I don't know that they have enough quality wins because you're banking on a Kansas State team with 8 transfers to be good. If you beat them to be good, the Wildcats, you're banking on a Mississippi State team to not fall apart in SEC play. We've seen that happen before. I have some question marks, some big ones about that Bulldog team. I think UAB is going to be good in American. That's probably going to be down.
Yeah, UAB is a wild card. I think UAB is going to be good because I don't think the American's very good. But yeah, K-State's a wild card. Mississippi State's a wild card. We know Alabama's going to be a top 5 team. I mean, if you beat Alabama, then you probably could lose another one just because they're going to be a 1 or 2 seed come March.
And Louisiana is a pretty damn close to a 50-50 game.
Top 4 Sun Belt team, yeah.
You're a 3-point favorite in the preseason going into there. So one last shout out to the Southland. They know their conference. They scheduled the final game of the conference slate. McNeese State in Nacogdoches against Stephen F. Austin.
Yep. Oh yeah. And we'll probably get the rematch a week later in the conference tourney.
That's fun. Okay. Mac, did you predict this team to lose in the conference tournament on our preview?
I did because I wanted 2 teams from the Southland in there. I said they're going to get in that large. They're going to be a 10 or 11 seed, and then let's two bids from the Southland, baby. I want to see it, and that's the only path. So it happened with Belmont and Murray in the OVC. I wanted it from the Southland, but I do think the Cowboys, whether they win the conference tournament or not, they will go dancing this year.
I have the Pokes pulling off the sweep. This was fun. I enjoyed this. We might tinker with this again if another very interesting schedule gets released here where everybody's talking about it. But this was kind of a special episode because, I mean, like I said, 20,000 impressions on a low major a low major non-conference schedule is like really, really good. So everybody was talking about it on Twitter. We're happy to deliver every day's biggest news headline. On some of the slower days, if you want us to do one specific team preview, hit us up on Twitter at moneyline_Mac for Ryan McIntyre, or for myself at Noah B77_. Look, Mac and I have talked a good amount this offseason about wanting to evolve TCE's delivery. Mac doesn't just want to be known for the giving out the best free daily college basketball picks, because we all know that his graphic of 70 picks on a Saturday is the best out there. Nobody can match that. But he's gained knowledge on the sport from working with some of the game's greatest that he'd like to spread around even more. And myself, I know where my bread is buttered. So I'm going to help him do that as the college basketball experience has taken on a life of its own. So yeah, Mac and I are diving headfirst into covering college basketball's biggest preseason headlines daily this season. In the past, we've never had the ability to expand on our takes for teams or players beyond our conference previews because we were working on conference previews all the way up until the final day in the preseason. So in result, TCE Trims is expanding. Last year, TCE Trims was only on YouTube, and it was in the short picks only version from our daily college basketball experience picks shows. This preseason TCE Trims series is going to be daily every midweek day. You can expect these unless we're doing something special like this. Most of them are going to sit anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, and it's just going to be college basketball news content where we provide our analysis and takes on the day's buzz. During the regular season, we plan to deliver this style content too. We're not ready to release those details yet, but Mac, I'm really excited for the trajectory of the college basketball experience. That, like I said, today was a fun show. We'll see what tomorrow has in store for us. This has been the college basketball experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.